Hey, this is Jordan. I'm doing my NFL spread predictions for Week 14. Uh, Tonight it's Thursday right now. The Thursday night football game hasn't happened yet. Um, I'm taking Minnesota +3, but I already put that in my last video. They're actually still at +3, which I'm surprised. The juice has moved in their favor, so it's like I think you have to pay like a -120 juice on the +3. But I took it at -110 when it was normal. Um, I think I'm pretty. I mean, I'm not super confident in Minnesota +3. It's not like I mean, I definitely see Seattle at home. They're playing well. Josh Gordon is starting to get his footing with the team. And then you add that to Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. You just have a great receiving core. So and then was it Hollister? They had to replace Will Dissly, so they've been using Hollister. He's been looking good. Um, I actually picked him up on my fantasy team. I played Jack Doyle though, but anyways, so Minnesota +3 is my Thursday night game, but Thursday night prediction. But anyways, this is for Week 14. So the first game is Dallas versus Chicago. Now this is going to be a game a lot of people are going to pay attention to, mostly because the Cowboys are just such a. I mean, everyone's talking about the Cowboys. Everyone's talking about how they should be so much better. I remember they got Travis Frederick, their center back. He was injured last season. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, they have another year under their belt. You imagine, when you're a young player, another year, you get better each year. When you're a young guy. They just look like crap. Amari Cooper is a really good receiver. Same with Michael Gallup. Same with I like their team. They look good on paper. I like that they got Michael Bennett from the Patriots. I like a lot of things they've done. But for some reason, they just can't win. But you know what? It's tough for me to go against them against Chicago because Chicago's another team on paper where they're supposed to be good, but they just cannot win. So this is a weird game for me. I mean, it's at Chicago, but Dallas is right now they're -3, and the juice is an even line, -1 minus or +100 on the juice for the -3. Um, I would take that. There's a few places though where you can get Dallas at -2.5. Move the spread down a half a point, and you can get them at -2.5 with a juice of -120 on the juice. That's what I would do. That's the bet I would take. I would take Dallas -2.5 on a -120 juice on that line. Yeah, that makes sense to me because -3. I just don't like. Everyone knows. Threes, sevens. There's certain numbers 10 in football. It's a very important numbers when it comes to spreads. Three is a very important number. Um, to me, yeah, I think I have to take. I can't go against Dallas, even though they've been playing awful, just because they have to win. It's like every game is a must win for them, especially now that the Eagles lost to the Dolphins. Because the Eagles lost to the Dolphins, that still opens up. The Cowboys are still leading the NFC East. So as long as they keep winning, the thing is, the Eagles have an easier schedule. But anyway, so the Dallas Cowboys need to win, and the Chicago Bears are out of the playoffs already. And the Bears have been so bad. I mean, everyone knows how bad Trubisky's been and how it just hasn't turned out for them. The defense hasn't been as good as they were supposed to be with Khalil Mack and everything. Even though he individually has been solid, but the whole defense is just not very good, or not as good as it should be. It's probably in the upper 50th percentile, but when it comes to the defense, top 15 or top 16 out of the 32 teams. But but yeah, I really have to take Dallas. But here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Dallas -2.5. I think the line's gonna keep moving down, but there are places where you can get it if you just move the line down a half a point and take it at -120 on the juice. So I'm gonna say Dallas -2.5. It's a smart decision. It's worth paying that extra juice to move it down a half point. 2.5 and 3 might be close, but they are very different numbers when it comes to gambling on football. Especially because many games are decided by exactly 3 points. Many football gamblers know that. So, Dallas -2.5. Baltimore versus Buffalo is the next one. Baltimore is favored by 5.5. Taking Baltimore. I took, I've been taking Baltimore, but last week I took San Francisco +6. It worked. Especially because of the rain. Especially, that lowered the whole score total. Pretty much, it was a lot of running, a lot of, it's going to be a lower scoring game when it's pouring rain, obviously. So, Baltimore only won by 3. San Francisco beat the spread. Uh, but I have to take Baltimore here -5.5. I think this spread should be bigger. It opened up at 7. It should be bigger, but I think what happened is that because Baltimore didn't beat the spread last week and Buffalo won today, I took. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but I did pick Buffalo +6.5 against the Cowboys. That was easy. That was really easy decision. Yeah, super easy decision. So, both teams beat the spread. I just. And you know what else is that Buffalo played on Thursday, so they have extra time to prepare. That's also something you have to take into mind. Thursday compared to Sunday, that's 3 whole days of preparing extra. So, and it's in Buffalo. But, and there could be some weather. It's winter time in Buffalo, New York. But Baltimore's an okay weather team. I mean they won in the weather this Sunday in the rain. I definitely have to go with Baltimore -5.5. Now that the Patriots lost and Baltimore is the number 1 seed in the AFC, they desperately want to keep that number 1 seed. Mostly because going into Foxborough in the playoffs, it's almost impossible to win. I know the Ravens beat the Patriots, they destroyed them 37-20, but going into Foxborough in the playoffs, they turn it up a notch. These Patriots, man, they turn it up a notch in the playoffs. So you have to take that into account. But yeah. So I think Baltimore desperately wants to win every game they can. You just completely win out the rest of the game, especially because the Patriots are playing the Chiefs, so they could also lose. They lost to the Texans. They could definitely lose to the Chiefs. I'll say this though, I took the Texans +3, and the only reason why I took them and it ended up working out is because everyone on the Patriots was sick. That was my whole thinking behind that. Not that the Texans are a better team. I took them because everyone on the Patriots was sick. They all had illnesses. Um, so that was really it. It was just like it's not the same Patriots team. But now that I feel like you have another week to get healthy, they're gonna be healthy. Um, I mean, it'll be. We'll talk about the Chiefs Patriots game in a little bit, but I think Baltimore is obviously hoping that the Chiefs beat the Patriots, and yeah, Baltimore has to win this game against Buffalo. Buffalo, we annihilated. I say we because I'm from Baltimore. We annihilated the Bills last season at the beginning of the season. Um, yeah, and that was because of Nathan Peterman, because he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. We don't have Nathan Peterman. We're not playing against Nathan Peterman. We're playing against a really solid young quarterback in Josh Allen. I like the way the guy's been playing. I really do. So it'll be interesting. I definitely think it'll be a defensive heavy game just because Buffalo's got a great defense and Baltimore doesn't have the best. They're better on offense than they're on defense, but I still think it's going to be a similar game to what we saw with San Francisco versus Baltimore, where they won 20-17. I definitely see more of like a maybe like a 27-20 or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Maybe 27-20. Baltimore. Yeah. Well, they opened up favored by a touchdown, and I think they'll win by a touchdown. So that's why I'm taking them now that they've dropped down to -5.5. So I'm taking Baltimore -5.5. That makes sense to me. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown. They should win by 10 points, but I think they'll win by a touchdown. Washington versus Green Bay. I've been taking Washington a lot. I mean, last game, last time, I took them +10 against Panthers. I don't know why the Panthers were favored by them because they're not that good. I don't get that. I took them +10. It worked out. I really took a chance on them on Thanksgiving or whatever. No, I'm sorry, no. Oh my gosh, no, no. It was the week before that. I took them against the Lions at +3.5. Because the Lions play on Thanksgiving, that's why I got messed up. But yeah, I took them against the Lions at +3.5. That also worked out because they won the game straight up. I was skeptical on that. I really took a chance on that one, and I was surprised it worked out. Um, but when I took him at plus 10 against the Panthers, I was actually pretty confident. It's not that I thought they were that good of a team. I just thought Panthers. I mean, are the Panthers that solid of a team that they should be favored by 10 points over anybody? I mean, anybody. So yeah, to me though, when you see such a ridiculous spread like this, minus 13 and a half in favor of Green Bay, it's like I always take the underdog, even no matter how bad they are. It's a rule with me. It's almost I just have to take it. It's just too big of a spread. This isn't college football. You know what I mean? This is not Alabama playing UTEP. This is freaking NFL football. This is real. This is not. I mean, these people. It's much more balanced. These people are fighting for their careers, even especially on the bad teams. That's the thing that people don't talk about is that on bad teams when you're bringing in new people trying to fill roster spots on these horrible teams. These people are fighting for their careers. You think they're not going to play their ass off? I mean, really, people don't really take that into account. It doesn't seem like they do because they think, oh, this team is a bunch of no names. They're gonna lose because they're no. Yeah, if they're no names, that means they're trying to make a name for themselves. And people are trying to make a name for themselves, they work their ass off. So I don't know what people are thinking. It just makes no sense to me when they. I mean, I always take underdogs. I took the Dolphins plus 10. They won straight up. I took Washington plus 10. They won straight up. I mean, I wish I bet on the money line, right? If I'd gone on here and said take the money line, I look like freaking Nostradamus. But no, I took them against the spread, and it was a good decision, anyways. But anyways, I have to take. It's terrible. I actually I have to take Washington. I have to take Washington just because I have a young quarterback, Dwayne Haskins, that wants to make a name for himself. They just won. Their energy level is up. Green Bay, the thing is, Green Bay's favored by so many points because they want to win. They need to win this game. They're at home in Green Bay. They're in the playoffs. They really want this game. There's no way they're going to let this game slip through their fingers. But when a team is favored by 13 and a half points in the NFL, I just don't feel confident no matter how good they are. It just I know, like, how you have good teams like the Ravens winning by 40 points and this and that. I just when you have guys making a name for themselves, and then trying to keep their careers alive, like Adrian Peterson. I remember he played pretty well against the Panthers. He's keeping his career alive. You got these old guys keeping their career alive, and you got young guys trying to make a career for themselves. That makes a team that wants to win, no matter how bad their record is. No matter how bad their record, and also little things like for example, was it Jay Gruden? Is he still the coach? Because damn, he's about to get fired if he's still the coach. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, I have to edit that part out maybe because I that was totally a mental lapse. Of course, Bill Callahan is the coach now. I don't know why I'm not thinking straight. Um, but also Bill Callahan also will probably get fired after this season. But maybe not just because they have a young quarterback that they don't want to keep switching around the offensive coordinators and the coaches stuff, messing them up with their development. Their development is very important. So even though the Redskins are bad this season, I actually think they'll probably keep Bill Callahan. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, these interim head coaches, it's tough for them. Guys like Freddie Kitchens, for example, where they're an interim head coach, where it's like, you know, like Freddie Kitchens, for example, he was the running backs, I believe, coach for the Browns, and then he moved up to offensive coordinator, and then when they got rid of Hugh Jackson, they made him the head coach. Now that all happened within about 8 months, where he went from running back coach, offensive coordinator, head coach. That just doesn't work to me. I mean, it just you can. I mean, everyone knows how bad Freddie Kitchens has been doing. So these interim head coaches, it's like you have to have experience at being a head coach, in my opinion. I don't know, but but anyways, yeah, I can't believe I thought Jay Gruden was still a freaking coach. That's ridiculous. Anyways, Yeah, so I have to take, anyways, I have to take Washington at plus 13. That just makes a lot of sense to me just because the spread is so large. And like I said, you have these young guys that just want to make a name for themselves. I don't see this team just backing down and just giving up. I mean, you think about if you're Dwayne Haskins and you have an opportunity to go into Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers and beat the Green Bay, man, I'd be jumping at that opportunity. Aaron Rodgers is a generational quarterback, and going into Green Bay, people consider Green Bay, Seattle, Kansas City, some of these places, Foxborough, the toughest places to go into and play. So if you can go in there and win, man, that's to me, when they're looking at, hey, should we give this guy a big $100 million contract? It's those kind of games they look at. So Dwayne Haskins, I mean, he can make an extra few $1 million if he wins this game in the future. You know what I mean? I mean that's really how it works. So that's how I'd be thinking if I was Dwayne Haskins and I was some of these players on the Redskins. They also have young guys like Kelvin Harmon. You know what I mean? Like Darius Geis. Darius Geis, for example, he was injured all last season. He's trying to make a name for himself. There's a lot of guys trying to make a name for themselves on that team. So I like the Redskins at plus 13 and a half. So the next game is Denver versus Houston. Um, this is another tough one. I think I actually, like I said, I usually go for the teams that are, a heavy underdog, just because I think spreads get too large in the NFL. I don't like these 10-point spreads. I always go for the underdog, and it almost always ends up working out. And a lot of times when I don't do it, it almost never works out. So I pretty much, it's almost like a rule I live by. Just I don't care what, these guys are players in the NFL. These guys are NFL football players. They mean business. There's no scrubs in the NFL. There's no Jamarcus Russells. But anyways, um, Denver versus Houston. I have to take. This is probably the only big spread I'm going to take. I have to take Houston minus 9.5. Houston is fighting for the playoffs. They're fighting for the playoffs, and I like the way Washington's playing, and I like the way Denver's playing too. They both won last week, but I trust Dwayne Haskins more than I trust who's it, Cook. Who's the new quarterback that just beat the Chargers for the Denver I've to look it up. Lock. It was Drew Lock. I was thinking of Connor Cook. I remember when I think he played for Michigan State. But no, I actually remember when Drew Lock was drafted from Missouri. That's where it was, Missouri. I remember that actually. But anyways, Drew Lock. He played fantastic. I love the way Drew Lock played. I think he's definitely the future of, it's definitely not Joe Flacco, right? Or Brandon Allen. Both of them. Well, Brandon Allen, I thought was a young quarterback. He's actually 27. He's not that young. I mean, it's kind of young, but it's not. It's not that young. I thought he was like a little younger. Anyways, yeah, I really, really like the way Denver played against the Chargers. I really like the way Drew Lock played. Um, I love because the reason why I love Cortland Sutton is because I picked him up on my fantasy team on the waiver wire. So Cortland Sutton has been a savior for me. I mean, he has been. That's one of the best waiver wire pickups. I mean, I've had some good waiver wire pickups. I remember I picked up on when he first had his great rookie season. Juju Smith Schuster, that was a great pickup. Deshaun Watson, I picked up when he had his great rookie season. There's been some great. Patrick Mahomes, I picked up off the waiver wire last year. I mean, I've had some great waiver wire pickups. Now that I think about it, Jesus, but that Patrick Mahomes from last year was freaking great. I mean, off the waiver wire, he's a first round pick now. I mean, but anyways, um, but yeah, I really like, yeah, Cortland Sutton, and Noah Fant's been a good. He's been good. He's had some drops, but he's very athletic, and he definitely has a future in the NFL for sure. You can work on your catching ability, but he's a hard worker, so I think he'll be good. And I think Denver has something that they can build towards the future. I really do feel like Denver has something special that they with Drew Lock. You know, he's a young guy. I really think they can build on that. Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. You know, what is it? Bradley Chubb. You know, they're probably gonna get rid of Von Miller to make some space to give other these young people contracts, which makes sense. But um, but yeah, I mean, I like what the Denver Broncos they're building for the future. There's a couple teams that are doing well building for the future. I think the best is the Steelers, in my opinion. I think what they've done on offense with Mason Rudolph, James Conner, Juice Smith Schuster, James Washington. Um, on defense, T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree. They traded for Minka Fitzpatrick. Um, Joe Hayden's old, but he's been playing well still. He had that great interception that ended the game. Iced the game for the Steelers versus the Browns. Joe Hayden got that final interception. I really like what they've done. But yeah, no, I think they have a lot of great young players that they're going to give contracts to, and yeah, they definitely have some building blocks for the future. There's a few teams that definitely have building blocks. Um, Arizona's another one. They had a great. I think Kyler Murray could be a really good quarterback, and I also think that the wide receiver they drafted very late, who's oh my god, I can't remember his name. He's super athletic, and he's like very tall. He's like 6'5" or something. Oh, yeah, it was Hakeem Butler. Hakeem Butler. Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. I remember I really wanted the Ravens to draft him really badly. I really thought that he would have been a great late round pickup. I was really pissed off we didn't get him. I still think it would have been a great decision. I think he definitely has a future in the NFL. He hasn't done a lot this season, but he's young. He's raw, you know. But yeah, they have some building blocks for sure. And I think another one. I don't want to keep going on and on, but I think Oakland, what they've done with the guys they've drafted on defense, especially this year, and then obviously Derek Carr is, he's like not a young guy. He's in his prime. He's like 28 years old or something. He's but I mean, I think they have some other building blocks that they're gonna really. Hunter Renfro has been really surprisingly good. I remember when he came from Clemson. I really like Hunter Renfro. Yeah, the Raiders have, especially, but it's mostly on defense. They have a lot of good young guys on defense. But anyways, um, I have to go back to the game. Went on a tangent there. Denver versus Houston was what I was talking about. I'm taking Houston minus 9.5. I have to take Houston minus 9.5. I just think it's too many points, and I think it's to me Denver should be a bigger underdog, and the only reason why they're not is because they beat the Chargers, and like I mean they've had a bad season, but that's a solid team to beat. It's not like beating a really crappy team. That's the Chargers are a solid team to beat. That does show something about your team. There's no doubt about it. I just think Drew Lock had it was it was his first game of the season. Like I really feel like he just had that like it's like this is it. This is the moment I've waited for my entire life. You know what I mean? And it's like this is it. Like Eminem at the end of 8 Mile. So I think he just put it. I think he put a lot into that game. It's not like he's not going to put a lot into this game too. It's not like he's going to stop trying or something. This is the second game, but I really think Houston minus 9.5 makes sense. Yeah, that just makes sense to me. I think that Houston. Everyone knows they beat an unhealthy Patriots team. I think everyone's realized that the Patriots were not healthy, and also the Patriots receiving core. Everyone's talking about how bad their receiving core is, which I totally agree with. I think that is their biggest problem is the receiving core. There's no doubt in my mind. Um, but yeah, I think Houston. It's now that they beat they're in the playoffs. They're the top of that division. But the Titans, they're coming after them. They beat the Colts, so that now the Colts are not. I mean, their record they still could make the playoffs, but it's more likely that the Titans do. But yeah, the Colts, the Titans, they're chasing after the Texans. So the Texans, I feel like they do have a lot of pressure on them to win this game. While on the other hand, the last game I was talking about, Green Bay, I don't feel like they have as much pressure only because the division they're in is just. I mean, they're in the NFC. It's a tough one. They have now. I shouldn't say that they're not pressured to win the game. They should. They have to win this game. It's important. But if if the Vikings lose tonight, there's definitely not going to be as much pressure. Because the Bears and the Lions are not challenging the Packers. Their records are not nearly as good. Only team that's challenging the Packers in that division, the NFC North, is that Vikings team. And if the Vikings lose, which they could in Seattle, I mean, they could easily lose this game. If they lose this game, I think the Packers are not going to have as much pressure on them. I think they'll win by maybe a touchdown. Um, yeah, I mean, I took them minus 6.5 against the Giants, and I think the Giants are maybe just slightly better than the Redskins in my opinion. They're just slightly better than the Redskins. So I think Green Bay will win that game by 10, and I think and Washington will beat the spread. And for the next game I was talking about, I think Houston will also win that game by 10, and they'll beat the 9.5 point spread. So Houston minus 9.5 is last prediction. This is gonna be a very long video. San Francisco versus New Orleans. San Francisco versus New Orleans. Man, that's a really good matchup. I think that's definitely the best matchup of the whole week. Definitely when it comes to the two best teams. Boy, I really love this matchup. I think that New Orleans. It's hard for me to take them because they haven't been playing well. I mean, I've taken them. They've screwed me. I took them. Well, the last time I took them on Thanksgiving -7, they won by 8. But that was barely. They won. They beat the spread by 1 point. Last time, I took them -9 against the Panthers. They won by 3. How the hell do you play the Panthers? And the Redskins beat the Panthers by more points than. Yeah, because I think they won what 29-21 or something. Yeah, so I mean, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, no, I mean the Saints have not been as good as they should be. That's another team, just not as good as it should be. So I have to take San Francisco +3. That just makes sense to me because I feel like even though it's in New Orleans, and it's kind of hard to play in New Orleans. That's a tough place to play. In I think in the dome. Uh, San Francisco is just as good as New Orleans. I think that's to me they're equally good. And I was listening to someone I think just a couple days ago, and they said, you know, home field advantage in football is gives you 3 points. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm seeing right here. You have two teams that are perfectly equal. It's a pick 'em if they play on a neutral stage, right? But because they're in New Orleans, it's -3 because at home field advantage they give you 3. Have to take San Francisco +3. I just like that. I just like it because I think the team when you have teams that are equal, you might as well take the points. That's logical to me. I might as well take the +3. You might as well. So and also San Francisco coming off a loss, I think I think they really want to win. I mean, yeah. Even though New Orleans, like I said, it's another Thanksgiving game where you have an extra 3 days to prepare, which is a decent amount of time to prepare for your opponent. So that will help them. But yeah, I'm gonna take San Francisco +3. That's logical to me. Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Boy, this is gonna be a long video. Cincinnati versus Cleveland. I have to take. This is really really tough because it's tough. I like Cleveland. I mean, but I took Cleveland -2 against the Steelers, and I was pretty confident. I mean, it's hard to be confident in the Browns, but I was pretty confident that they'd beat the 2 point spread. They lost. They lost the game. I couldn't believe it. And you know what? When I watched, I didn't know what happened. When I watched it, I realized Baker Mayfield injured his throwing hand. I honestly believe, I don't want to make excuses, but I honestly believe that they lost that game because he was injured on his throwing hand. That makes sense to me. He's the quarterback and he couldn't grip the ball. I mean, I mean, it makes sense that had an effect on the game when the quarterback injures the throwing hand in the second quarter, nonetheless, not at the very end, the second quarter. So that makes sense that affected the game. They only scored 13 points. They should have scored more. I was surprised, like 13 points. But yeah, I understand. But I think Baker Mayfield will be feeling a little better. I don't think his hand will have that much of an effect, but he might be a little sore. But I have to take. I am gonna go on my gut and take Cincinnati plus 8.5. I'm taking them only because well they played fantastic last week against the Jets. I took the Jets. I thought the Jets would win. I don't know what happened. They lost. They lost badly. I mean, they played bad. Le'Veon Bell hasn't really been stepping up. He had 10 carries for 32 yards, I think. What the hell is that? You know, you're supposed to be the center of the offense. So it's like to me that's crap. Um, but he should get more than 10 carries too. You know, but I think it was because they weren't on offense very much. They just kept. I don't know. I don't know because I looked at the stats. I didn't watch the game. I looked at the stats and I didn't see Sam Darnold. I don't think he had any interceptions, or at least not more than one interception. So Sam Darnold, I don't know. He didn't have that many complete. His completion percentage wasn't very good, but he didn't have a bunch of interceptions. So I don't know really what happened in that game. I'd have to go back and watch the highlights or something, or watch, you know, game analysis. But I didn't actually watch the game. I'm on. I don't think. I don't think anybody watched the New York Jets versus Cincinnati Bengals unless they were betting their house on it. I mean, that is a boring freaking game to watch. I know one of my friends had Sam Darnold. He played him on his fantasy league. I feel bad for him, but that was the only guy I know who watched that game. Anyways, I'm taking Cincinnati plus 8.5. It just is just too big of a spread. You know, but on the other hand, one thing I'll say is I took the Dolphins plus 10.5 against Cleveland, thinking, oh, it's too big of a spread. And Cleveland won. They won by 14, I think. They beat the spread. I did the same thing in last week where I took the Dolphins plus 10 against the Eagles, and it worked out. I mean, they actually beat the. I was surprised they beat them straight up. I thought they'd at least beat the spread, but they won straight up. So Cleveland's hard to gauge. Um, yeah, I mean they play. I mean, like they've beaten. You know, they've beaten the best team in the NFL right now, the Ravens, 40-25. Oh, they're just hard to gauge. You never know how they're gonna play. You know, and when you never know how the team's gonna play when they're up and down, left and right. Don't bet your money on them. Don't bet your hard-earned money on a team you don't know what the hell they're gonna do. So, or against them really. If you don't know if they're gonna be good, so it's hard to bet against them too. But if I was gonna do something, I would do Cincinnati plus 8.5. Definitely Cincinnati plus 8.5. There's also a lot of places where you can get Cincinnati at 9. I'm actually looking at a bunch of different casinos and a bunch of different websites right now. That's what I do to create a little consensus in my mind, like what's the most appropriate number to give. And I'm seeing a lot of minus nines. I mean, the consensus that seems like is 8.5, but there's just as many minus nines or plus nines. So I'm taking Cincinnati, but yeah, actually, I'm gonna change my pick. Cincinnati plus 9. Even if you have to pay a little extra juice, it'll probably only be an extra five, like 115 compared to 110 on the juice. So it's always worth a half a point. I think that five is worth a half a point, unless you're betting a lot or something. Otherwise, if you're betting a little bit, then it's a few cents really. I mean, or maybe just a few bucks. And it's worth it. So I would take Cincinnati plus 9. Carolina versus Atlanta. These are very hard teams to gauge. Very hard teams to gauge. Um, Atlanta, God, I don't even want to create. This is probably, in my opinion, this might be the weirdest, hardest game to predict. I mean, who knows? I mean, can anyone say that they know for sure that the Falcons are going to win, or they know for sure that the Panthers are going to win? I don't. I mean, I genuinely have no clue what's going to happen. I don't even like this game. This is the worst. This is a horrible matchup. I mean, I just don't know what's going to happen. I don't like this at all. That's a horrible. I don't like that at all. I'm not taking either team. That's crap. That's a crap game. That's a crap spread. 2.5. I mean, Atlanta opened up as -1. Now they're -2.5. It's all crap. It's all terrible. If you bet your money on that game, you're a freaking idiot, in my opinion, or at least on the spread. That's one of the worst. That has to be the worst or hardest matchup to predict of any matchup this week. Stay away. That is toxic. The game is toxic. Um, Only thing I'll say about this game, if I had a gun to my head and I had to make a prediction, I would take the over. I would take over 48. That would be the only logical. I could see some scoring in this game. Definitely. I would take over 48. I wouldn't touch that spread with a 10-foot stick. I'm taking over 48. I'm staying away from that spread. I don't want anyone to bet on that spread because of me. That is a horrible. That is horrible. And even if I did make the right prediction, I wouldn't feel like I was smart. I feel like I got lucky. So, Detroit versus Minnesota. Oh my God! Another one. Another massive spread. There is no way. I'm sorry, but there is no way in hell I'm going to take Minnesota minus 14. Minus 14? They have to win by 15? That's like last year against the Bills where they were favored by 20 points and they lost straight up. Or 20, or something like that, somewhere around 20. There's no way I'm taking Minnesota minus 14. I have to take Detroit plus 14. I don't care how bad Detroit is. I mean, they played well against the Bears. And, they got the young quarterback who's trying to prove himself. Hell no. I'm taking Detroit plus 14. No doubt in my mind. I don't care I don't care how badly Minnesota wants to win this game. That is such a large spread. There is no way I'm gonna take Minnesota minus 14. I don't trust the way they've been another hard team to gauge this season. They have one of the best rosters in the NFL. It seems like the teams with the best rosters on paper: Cowboys, Chargers, Bears. I mean, all these teams that it's like, Minnesota is one of those teams that's like on paper they're such a good team, but it's like, yeah, I don't trust them. I don't I just don't trust them. There's so many teams this year where they have a good roster, but they just are not showing up. The LA Rams are another one. I was trying to think of the other one. LA Rams, um, and the Eagles. I mean, got a lot of teams. Browns, obviously, Browns is the biggest one. They were like people were talking about them winning the Super Bowl. Even me, I mean, I was looking on paper. I was like, I like Baker Mayfield. I like Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham. I like Nick Chubb. I forgot about Kareem Hunt. Whatever happened with Kareem Hunt? Did he die? What happened? What? I just realized. What? Wait a minute. He was supposed to come back week 8. It's week 14. What happened to Kareem Hunt? Is he injured? I haven't heard his name once. Wait a minute. That's bizarre. Yeah, I haven't heard Kareem Hunt's name one time, and I watch a lot, a lot of NFL sports analysis. That's weird. I don't even. I have to actually look at it. Okay, so I just looked at Kareem Hunt's stats since he came back. So I didn't realize. I thought they were using Nick Chubb pretty much the whole game. I haven't really watched a lot of Browns games. I didn't try to watch the Browns Steelers game, but it was on TV. But yeah, I just looked at what Kareem Hunt's been doing since he came back for the past few weeks. They've been giving him more and more opportunities, and I was looking at his yards per carry, and it looks like he's actually getting back into form. I mean, it's not like he was coming back from an injury; he's come back from suspension, so that's also something to take into account. But yeah, I really feel like also with his pass catching ability, they really need to get him more involved in the offense. I mean, the season's over pretty much. Just so sad. God, what a team. I mean, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, and I mean, well, if they hadn't had David and Joe get injured, I think that also would have helped. But anyways, yeah, I haven't paid attention to the Browns, so I just know they've been screwing me every time I go with them or go against them. When I go against them on the Dolphins, excuse me. When I go with them on the Steelers, yeah. No, I think the Browns are one of the worst teams to bet on. So, but yeah, I'm taking yeah. Yeah, I mean, I already took Cincinnati plus 8.5. or +9. But yeah, I haven't actually paid attention to Kareem Hunt at all. But he's only been getting about 6 to 8 carries per game. But he's getting around like 45 yards on those like 7 carries or whatever, you know. So, I mean, that's like solid. That's like you know, that's solid yards per carry. So I think they definitely should get him more involved in the offense, even though they pretty much are out of the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know what they should do. I mean, he definitely has phenomenal pass catching ability. His speed, I, yeah. I mean, he definitely is someone who should be involved in an NFL offense. He's got that talent. I know he was suspended, but he's he I think he's probably stayed healthy and exercised and whatnot, so stayed in playing shape. um, yeah. Anyways, so my last pick was Detroit +14. Um, I am going to go to the next one. The next one I'll do is Miami versus the New York Jets. Um, this is also one of those crap bowls where it's like two horrible teams. It's like who cares? No one's gonna watch this game unless you're betting on it. Um, I just think the New York Jets they just want to bounce back. They're at home. It's hard for me to say, oh, the New York Jets are so much better than the Dolphins, but I don't know. I feel like Sam Darnold's embarrassed. He embarrassed, and not even him. And Le'Veon Bell, the whole team is embarrassed. I mean, Robbie Anderson's probably the only one who's not. He played pretty well, but I don't know. I really think the Jets want to bounce back. I've said it multiple times that this is a flip flop league. Team plays bad one week, they play good the next, play bad the next, good the next. It's just up and down, coin flip, left and right, every time, every time, every time. I mean, it's just ridiculous how it happens. I just don't understand how it works. I mean, I guess it's like, oh, we played so badly, we got to bounce. Like, I'm pissed that we got our asses kicked, so now I'm angry, so I want to play better or something. I don't know. I guess that's the mentality. Or if you win, you're like, oh, I'm good. I'm relaxed. We won. It's all good. We can chill. And then they get beat. I guess that's a mentality. I don't know why that would be a mentality with professional athletes, but I guess that is. But anyways, I'm gonna take the Jets -5.5. It opened up at 7.5. I can understand why someone would take Miami +7.5. Not like the Jets are that much better. But yeah, I'm just gonna go on my gut here. Just gonna go on my gut. Jets -5.5. It's not like I'm like I think the Jets the best team in the NFL or something. I think Miami got lucky. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick. They said he had one of those Ryan Fitzmagic moments, and that's really what happened. It was Ryan Fitzmagic. But Ryan Fitzmagic, it only happens once in a while. I mean, it can happen in back-to-back games though. It does a lot of times happen in back-to-back games. So the magic could still be there, and he could still have another good game, especially against a team that's not very good. But I'm gonna take Jets -5.5 at home. Not a game I would bet my money on, but that's my prediction. Um, Indianapolis versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, they played really well. I took a -1 against the Jaguars. The thing about it is, when I looked at the game. I was watching it on NFL Network and the highlights and stuff while it was going on when you go to NFL Red Zone. And to me, it was the Jaguars playing bad. It had nothing to do with the Bucks are so good. It was wow. Nick Foles, the Jaguar. I know Nick Foles come back from injury, but the Jaguars looked awful. I mean, thank God Leonard Fournette plays well because he's on my fantasy team. I mean, I need him to play well every week. But the rest of the team, Jesus. I mean, it's not a team I bet my hard-earned money on for sure. Um, but yeah, so when Tampa Bay beat them, that means nothing to me. When you beat a shitty team like that, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Um, but they did destroy them, so I guess that does mean something. But still, I am. I have to take, even though Indianapolis lost to the Titans and I took them last week, I'm sticking with the Colts. I'm sticking with them. They screwed me last week, but I'm gonna stand by them. I'm gonna stand by them. I'm gonna take the Colts +3. I just feel like that's too big. I thought, it's funny because Tampa Bay opened up at -1. That makes sense to me. Maybe a 2. But once it gets to 3, you know what I mean? It's like you might as well take. It seems like these teams are equal. You might as well take the points. Like I said, I've said it a million times. When the teams are equal, you might as well take the points. So I'm going to take Indianapolis +3. It just makes sense to me. These teams are no. I can't say one's better than the other. So next game. Oh, so yeah, Indianapolis +3. Next game is Chargers versus Jacksonville. Um, this was the team I was just talking trash about. It's hard for me to now take them and say, "Oh yeah, Jacksonville." I just said how bad they were, but damn, have the Chargers been an awful team? They have been so awful. I have to. It's psychotic to me, but I actually have to take Jacksonville +3. It's so ridiculous in my mind saying it now how bad they played. But I think Nick Foles is getting worried because he got that big contract and he's saying to himself, "Hey, I'm not playing up to par with this contract. They might release, they might trade me, they might do something. You know what? Well, they're not gonna be able to trade him. That's the thing. So they might just cut him or do something. Just you know what I mean? I think he's worried he might get cut. So he wants to play well. Um, hey, Philip Rivers probably is having the same problem. He's been playing awful. He might think he's gonna get cut too. Maybe both these guys are thinking, "Hey, if I don't play well, I'm gonna get cut." um, these teams are trash. So when you have these teams that are just so unreliable, I've named all these teams. I was just naming them all these teams that have been so bad. They should have been much better, like the Bears and the Browns and whatever. To me, when you have teams like that, Jacksonville and Chargers, yeah, LA Chargers, LA Chargers, San Diego Chargers. They're San Diego Chargers. Um, yeah, they've both been so awful this year. They have been so bad. Just astounding. I just thought they'd be so much better. Everyone thought they'd be better. So, I mean, especially the Chargers because they went to the playoffs last year, and I know they lost the Patriots, but the Patriots won the Super Bowl. So, in Jacksonville, their biggest problem always, always, always was Blake Bortles in the quarterback position. So once they got Nick Foles, someone who they can rely on, who they know he's not the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's reliable. So I think they thought to themselves, and even I thought to myself, hey, this is a solid team now. Now that they've got the quarterback position locked down, this is a solid, full, team. Um, they traded Jalen Ramsey. They traded for 2 first-round picks, so it wasn't a bad trade. It's not like I'm going to sit here and say that was a bad trade. I mean, 2 first-round picks. But especially because the Rams have been so bad, they might be high first-round picks. I mean, that's also something to take into account. But anyways, so when you have two teams that have been so awful, this is going to be another situation where it's like these two teams are kind of equal. And I want to take the points, like the +3 with Jacksonville at home, but I can't. I just can't, in good faith, do that. I think Jacksonville's just been so bad. I haven't gone with them for a while, and I'm glad, obviously, but they've been so bad that I can't go with them at all. So, because the over under is only at 43, and that's a very low over under. I am taking over 43 points. That is the bet here. That is the best bet. I think that both defenses have been awful. I mean, Derwin James is coming back, but I don't know how rusty he's going to be coming back from an injury. Like I said, they got rid of Jalen Ramsey. And I think Telvin Smith just got his house raided by cops. So, I mean, he wasn't playing for them this year, but still, that was an interesting story. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the LA Chargers haven't been putting up a lot of points, which I keep thinking that is so strange. Philip Rivers is a good quarterback. They have a good receiving core. They got Hunter Henry back. Melvin Gordon, he's not that good. He doesn't deserve that big contract, but he's still a solid running back. And Austin Eckler, and I don't understand why this offense, it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if it's the coach, Anthony Lynn. I don't know what it is, but this offense is not up to par. I don't know why they're not putting up enough points. But I still have to take them. I still have to take over 43 points. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's a very low over-under. And I understand why it's low, but I'm going to take over 43. That's the bet here. Stay away from the spread. If someone, if someone puts a gun to your head and says you got to bet on one of these teams, just beg them to bet on the over. Seriously, I'd be like, please just let me bet on the over. I mean, really, I guess you would take Jacksonville +3, maybe, but Jesus, I would not be confident in Jacksonville for 1 second. The only thing I'd be thinking of is Nick Foles playing for his career. That's the only thing. But then again, on the other side, Philip Rivers is also playing for his career. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, next game, Kansas City versus New England. So I take it back. San Francisco, New Orleans is the second best game. This is the best game of the week. Kansas City versus New England. I'm taking Kansas City +3. I think either one of these teams could win. I think there's also a big revenge factor when it comes to Kansas City, only because they lost last year, right? They lost last year in a very close one. I mean, that was a very close game last year. I think they want revenge. It's in New England, but New England hasn't been that good of a team. I mean, we all know how bad the receiving core is right now. I just have to take Kansas City +3. I mean, yeah, New England hasn't been playing that well. We all know that. Yeah, to me it just makes sense because Kansas City, for example, they put up 40 points and they scored. It was the score 40-9, 40-9 against the Raiders. So when you have a team putting up 40 points, even if it's against the Raiders, that means a lot to me because on the other side you have a team like the Patriots who haven't been. I don't think Patriots have put up 40 points once. So they're just not that kind of offense. They win low scoring games, and Kansas City wins high scoring games. So it's one of those things where it's like they're just gonna outscore the other team. They're just gonna outscore them. They're just gonna score more points. I know that's how a football game works, or any sports team, but literally they're just gonna outscore them. There's just no way the Patriots can put up as many points as the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm taking Kansas City +3. I like that. It's another. Almost half the games that I've been predicting. I mean, it's like equal teams. Just take the +3. Just take the points. I mean, every time I see this, it's like where you have, like I was saying, when you're a home team, they give you 3 points. That's literally all these games. If they were on neutral sites, a lot of these games would be pick'ems. And honestly, I don't care about home field. I don't care about your crowd. You're an NFL player. To me, it's like the logic to me, the way I think about it is if somebody's like booing you and you're an NFL player or something, you're going to get butthurt. You're going to get, upset, or you're going to not, if you have a crowd and they're booing you or they're talking trash to you or whatever, and the home field crowd and you're the away team, are you going to get, are you going to pout and get sad and be like, they don't like me. I don't want to play anymore. I'm just, Who the hell? These are professional athletes. The crowd doesn't affect them as much as people think. These are professional athletes. I mean, you got guys like Tahir Whitehead, who when someone calls him out on Twitter, some random fan, they'll say some crazy. I think he said that he was gonna kill them or something. He said he was affiliated with the Bloods and he had guns or something, and he's psychotic. But most people aren't affected by things as much as he would. But yeah, you don't want to act like that. That's how you earn your career. But yeah, when you have a team that's just like when you have equal teams and on a neutral field, if they're playing in Mexico or London or whatever, they'd be, a pick 'em. Yeah, you just take the underdog plus. Yeah, take the points. I mean, the only there's some things like, for example, a good example would be baseball, where the fields are actually different, and that makes a difference. I mean, you have different, like, they have in Boston was the Green Monster, where it's like that big wall, and you have like the Dodger Stadium is huge, and then you have like smaller stadiums like the Orioles, and you have all these. I mean, there's differences in. The only difference in NFL football is the Oakland Raiders, where they have to play on that weird baseball field. That's really the only difference in a field. I mean, you have Boise State in college football where their field is blue. I mean, that's different. But But pretty much in the NFL, all the fields are the same regulation size. I just don't care about home field advantage. Just don't care. So, this game, yeah, this game is going to be an afternoon game. It's too bad it's not a night game, but at least it's 4:30, not a 1 o'clock game. So Kansas City +3. There's a few games left. I'm almost hitting an hour on this video, so I'm gonna try and hurry up. But especially because the rest of these games aren't very intriguing, but they could be when it comes to gambling. So, uh, Pittsburgh versus Arizona. This game opened up at a pick'em. Now it's at Pittsburgh -2.5. Pittsburgh favored by 2.5. I'm going to take Pittsburgh -2.5, not because I think they're so good of a team. I mean, a lot of the guys are playing are backups. I just think that they want to win. They are still in the playoffs. I mean, now that they beat the Browns, they definitely have the. They definitely could still make the playoffs in the AFC. So I think they want to win, and it's not like Kyler Murray and the Cardinals don't want to win, but I just think I mean Pittsburgh. Yeah, when you have playoff implications, it's like if we win this game, and the thing is Pittsburgh's been beating teams they really shouldn't be beating, the Rams and the Colts and things. So when they're playing against a team like the Cardinals, it's like yeah, even if Cardinals are at home, I have to go with Pittsburgh. I don't like Pittsburgh. I don't. I mean, I'm a Baltimore fan, but also I don't like Pittsburgh as like Mason Rudolph and James. I mean, James Washington played really well, but he's still like a young guy. We don't know a lot about. But it's hard for me to just go with them. But I have to, and especially what was it? Pouncey, he's going to be back. That's also a little addition to their team. That'll make a difference. That'll help them. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna take Pittsburgh -2.5. I like that. I like that. I'm not super confident in it, but I definitely am not gonna take Arizona. So Pittsburgh -2.5. Let's go to the next one. Speed this up. Tennessee versus Oakland. I have to take. Oh my god, this is terrible. I'm taking Tennessee -3. I took the Colts. Um, against the Titans last week. They screwed me. I'm taking the Colts again, but I'm gonna go with Tennessee here. I think because it's another situation where these teams, this team has an opportunity to make the playoffs. In Oakland, that's the thing. It's tough for me because Oakland it could still make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to. I do not think Oakland's going to make the playoffs. I do think that Tennessee is going to make the playoffs. Um, so I'm gonna scratch that. I'm gonna Tennessee. No, I'm not taking Tennessee -3. Scratch that. Don't listen to that. I'm looking at the over under here. Over 47 and a half points. Over 47 and a half points, mostly because these teams' defenses have just been. I mean, not the worst defenses in the NFL, but definitely not fantastic. And I don't know. I mean, I like Ryan Tannehill. I like Derek Carr. I think I trust them as veteran quarterbacks. I just yeah, I like the over here. I mean, if I was going to take a bet on this, I definitely wouldn't take any spread or anything like that. I mean, I can imagine taking Oakland at home +3. I could see someone say I wouldn't say you're crazy, and I wouldn't say you're crazy for taking Tennessee -3. You know what I mean? But if you took under 47, I don't know, man. I wouldn't. I would be looking at you a little skeptical. So I'm taking Tennessee Oakland over 47 and a half points. That makes sense. I really like over 47 and a half. Yeah, I think this number is going to keep it started at 46 and a half. There's some places at 47. It's mostly 47 and a half though. I'm going to take it there at 47 and a half because that's where probably most people are. That's where the over under is on most websites and casinos. So, um, yeah, over 47 and a half. That makes sense to me. I like that. I like that a lot. I think I could just see this game being high scoring. I just I can just see it in my head. I'm visualizing it, and it definitely seems like it could be a high scoring game. So next one is Seattle versus the LA Rams. So Seattle's playing tonight. That's the thing. So this line might change. You know what I mean? This line definitely might change. Um, I'm gonna have to take Seattle minus 2.5. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I think if I was gonna say one, if I had to take a lock of the week, like one game I'm the most confident with, this is the one I'm most sure with. That if you're gonna bet your money on, bet on this one right here. Seattle minus 2.5 against the LA Rams. Definitely, absolutely. That is by far my most confident. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm thinking about it hard. I know the LA Rams played great, but oh my god, there's no way I'm taking yeah LA Rams over Seattle. Yeah, Seattle minus 2.5. I just love that. I think that is such a tiny little spread. It's nothing. It's almost like who's gonna win straight up, pretty much. You know, when you have these 1 2 point spreads, yeah, you might as well just be like, who's gonna win? Yeah, Seattle's gonna win this game for sure, in my opinion. Even though it's in LA, that means nothing to me. I don't think the LA Rams have a great fan base or anything like that. Um, yeah, I'm taking Seattle minus 2.5. Definitely. I actually, that's my lock of the week. I don't usually do like a lock of the week thing, but that's it. That's it. That's the best bet of the week. Um, yeah, when it comes to these spreads. So, Seattle minus 2.5. The very last game, Monday, Monday night football. New York Giants versus Philadelphia. How can anyone take Philadelphia after they lost to the freaking Dolphins? I mean, it's so hard to take them. Especially you think about division rival games. I don't know if they're technically division rival. I mean, these teams hate each other. Um, yeah. I mean, they're division rivals. Yeah. I mean, I would say like the Cowboys and the Eagles maybe are. But I mean, Giants, Eagles are those teams hate each other. Let's not pretend like they don't hate each other. So it's like the Ravens hate the Steelers more than any other team, but man, we definitely hate the Bengals. We definitely hate other teams too. So when they hate each other, I just always feel like it's gonna be close. I was surprised, that 49. I'm sorry, the Chiefs annihilated the Oakland Raiders 40-9. That's why I said 49ers. It was 40-9. Um, yeah, I was surprised that they annihilated them like that. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to be a big blowout like that. I think I actually might have taken Oakland plus 10. I think that's probably my worst prediction of the week last week. But it's not to me. It's really not that dumb of a prediction. But in hindsight, obviously it was because they lost by 31 points. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, New York Giants versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I have to take Giants plus 8.5. 8.5 is a massive spread. That is a large spread. I'm actually surprised. I thought it would be maybe 6, maybe 6.5, maybe 7. But it opened up at 8, and apparently people threw money on Philadelphia because now it's minus 8.5. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna take Giants plus 8.5. I really think that could be a solid. I mean, I could definitely see Philadelphia winning by 10, but it's much more likely, more than 50% likely, that the Giants will beat a plus 8.5 spread. I mean, if the Eagles win by a touchdown, I'll feel like the Eagles played really well. Like wow, because the Eagles have been bad. They've been playing really badly. So if the Eagles win by like a touch, the Eagles should probably only win this game by a field goal. In my opinion, they should only win this game by maybe a field goal. Maybe like um, I don't. I have no clue what the score would be. Might be one of those weird scores, like 23-26. I don't even know. Um, but yeah, they should probably win the game by a field goal. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna take Giants plus 8.5. I like that one. I like that. So that is the end of my spread predictions. Yeah, because that's the Monday night game. So I'm not gonna go over all of them. Well, I guess I can run through it real quick. I'll run through it real quick. So I've spent so much time on this video, I might as well just run through it. So tonight I'm taking the game's about to start, I believe, actually. I'm taking Minnesota plus 3. But anyways, Sunday, Dallas, Chicago. I'm taking. Almost forgot. This video's been too long. Uh, Dallas minus 2.5. I remember I moved the point. That was the one I moved it down a half point. Dallas minus 2.5. Baltimore minus 5.5. Washington plus 13.5, which is too big of a spread. Houston minus 9.5. I don't know why I'm putting so much faith in Houston, but I am. Uh, that's a tough one. But also I'll say this: the over under for that game is very low at 41.5. So I couldn't blame someone for taking the over. But I'm taking Houston minus 9.5 just because I think they desperately want to win this game. They're fighting for the AFC is tight right now. You know what I mean? So they're fighting for that spot, especially their division with the Titans and the Colts gaining up on them. So, um, yeah, Houston minus 9.5. San Francisco plus 3 probably is one of my favorite bets. That's probably one of my favorites, just because those teams are equal. San Francisco's a really good team. Yeah, I really like San Francisco plus 3. Uh, Cleveland, Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati plus 8.5. Or no, Cincinnati plus 9. Plus 9. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's many places. There's even a place where it's 9.5. But yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm taking Cincinnati plus 9. Um, Carolina, Atlanta. I'm not touching the spread. I'm taking over 48 points. Over 48. Detroit versus Minnesota. I'm taking Detroit plus 14. Too big of a spread. Um, Miami versus the New York Jets. I'm taking the Jets minus 5.5. Not very confident in that one. Wouldn't put my money on that. But yeah, Jets minus 5.5. Colts versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm taking over. Oh well, I'm taking Indianapolis plus 3. I mean, I'm taking Indianapolis plus 3, but I just looked at the 47.5, and if I was gonna bet on an over under, I would definitely take over 47.5. Just because the Bucks have been putting up a lot of points, and the Colts have been having lower scoring games, but I still think the Colts have put up a lot of. There have been some games where the Colts have put up a lot of points. I would definitely not blame someone for taking over 47, 47.5. But I'm taking Indy plus 3. That's my prediction about it. LA Chargers versus Jacksonville. This is the over. I'm taking over 43 points. I really like over 43. Yeah, that's a very low over under. And I wouldn't touch the spread. Kansas City versus New England. Um, the last time they played each other it was high scoring, but I'm taking Kansas City plus 3. I'm going to take them plus the 3. Um, uh, Pittsburgh versus Arizona. I'm taking Pittsburgh minus 2.5. It's not. I don't like them on paper, but they just keep winning. They just keep on winning. So I can't go against. They beat a phenomenal roster with Browns. Browns have a great roster. Arizona does not have as good of a roster, even though they have legends like Larry Fitzgerald and Terrell Suggs. It's just yeah. I still think like Pittsburgh minus 2.5. Tennessee versus Oakland. Over 47.5. I really like over 47.5. There's also a lot of places where it's at just straight 47. So if you can get it at just over 47, that's obviously going to be better. Just because maybe it'll be exactly 47, you end up getting a push instead of losing. So, but most places at 47.5. So I'm trying to help other people with this video. So I want to take what most people can take. So most places at yeah, like I said, 47.5. So I'm taking over 47.5. The last two games, Seattle versus LA Rams. That's a Sunday night game. I'm going to take Seattle minus 2.5. Best bet of the week. I love Seattle. I took them. I've been taking them a lot. I've been taking them a lot. This is probably the only week in a while I'm taking that against them, just because the Vikings just plus 3. I don't like that. I don't like the 3. I like they have to win by 4. So, but I'm gonna take Seattle after this game tonight. I'm taking Seattle minus 2.5. Um, then the last one is the Monday night game. New York Giants versus Philadelphia. I am taking New York Giants plus 8.5. Another situation, it's too large of a spread. I just don't trust. I don't trust the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know how anyone can trust Philadelphia Eagles. They haven't been reliable at all this season. Um, and it's funny how everyone blames Carson Wentz when he scored 31 points and the Dolphins scored 37 points. If the Dolphins score 37 points on you, your defense is terrible. That's just it. I don't care about Ryan Fitzmagic. I don't know how much. I don't care if he's a freaking wizard. I don't care if he's Merlin. You don't let them score 37 points on you. So I'm taking Giants plus 8.5. So that is the end of my video. It's gonna take a while to upload, but hopefully I get most of them right, and I might do a spread prediction video in a couple days. Or no, I'm sorry, over under, an over under for all the over unders, not just a few. The only over unders I took were ones that I was just not confident with the spread, so I'd rather take the over under. And I don't think I took any unders. I took 3 overs and no unders. But like I said, I will probably do a over under prediction video for all the games. Even though there's nothing really crazy. Every over under is around about 45 points. I mean, I'm seeing 42, 43, 48, 47, 46, 44. I mean, yeah, they're all in the 40s. There's nothing crazy. So if you feel, when I see things like that, it's like, if you feel like the game's going to be high scoring, you might as well, it's like, oh, 43 compared to 47. Okay, that's, a few more points. I mean, it's like, if you think it's going to be high scoring, you might as well take the high scoring. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, I'm just going to do over under prediction video. But anyway, so I'm pretty confident in some of these. Other ones I'm not very confident with. Seattle, I'm definitely the most confident with, minus 2.5 against the Rams. But anyways, and then some of these other teams, like, actually, it might sound crazy, but I'm kind of confident with Cincinnati plus 8.5, just because I can't trust Cleveland right now. And also I really like San Francisco plus 3. I took them plus 6. They beat the spread. They lost by 3. And they lost by 3 to the Ravens. The Ravens are better than the Saints. So, yeah. But that game was also low scoring because of the rain. So you have to take all these things into account. And also, I just saw something before I end this video. I'm gonna do one more prediction, and it just caught my eye like a diamond in the rough. This is something I didn't really look at. I didn't really pay attention to because I was so focused on the spread. San Francisco versus New Orleans. The over under for this football game is 44. Jimmy Garoppolo versus Drew Brees, and you have the over under at 44. Over 44. I have to make this extra prediction because I just saw this. I didn't notice this before because I was so focused on the spread. I really like the plus 3, but I really, really like over 44. That is really good. I mean, there's no way I would take under 44. Yes, because you're playing in a dome. I mean, that also affects. There's no weather. Yeah, I mean, really like that. I really like over 44. Seattle. I'm sorry, San Francisco. San Francisco versus New Orleans over 44, and San Francisco plus 3. I really like. I think that's a very, unless something crazy goes wrong. I mean, something. It's just any given Sunday really. But yeah, if something crazy happens or somebody gets injured, but barring that, that's a pretty predictable game. I think it's definitely going to go over 44, and yeah, I really like that over. That's one of the best overs. Yeah. So, anyways, I'll probably do another over under video, but yeah, I'm glad that caught my eye because that's something I would definitely take. That's a solid. That's one of the most solid bets I've seen out of all the ones I was talking about, and it just caught my eye. I didn't even notice it. Yeah, over 44, San Francisco versus New Orleans. Anyways, I'm gonna end the video right here. So good luck with your bets. Hopefully you make some money, and hopefully you don't ever listen to Colin Cowherd because you will lose everything. I just had to put that in because boy is that guy a moron. Anyways, I will. I'll end the video right there.